Well, my friends, it is certainly a good time to be a Pixel fan, as it appears Google's long-term strategy is finally paying off. A recent report from Statcounter shows Pixel devices are gaining significant market share in North America for the month of October, and interestingly enough, Apple is losing ground at the same time. This is no doubt a big report, and there's a lot to go over, so let's take a quick look at the numbers to see what's going on and try and pull some information as to why the Pixel brand is growing so much as of late. And of course, if you find this helpful, consider subscribing to the 9 to 5 Google YouTube channel, because we have a lot more Google/Pixel/Android content coming your way, and you cannot miss out on any of it. That said, let's get into the nitty-gritty of the details here. We have a new data report from Statcounter, which, by the way, is one of the longest-running web analytics services out there, that shows us Google Pixel phones have gained a huge increase in market share from September to October in North America, from 4.76% to a pretty insane 12.9%, tripling its share from the previous month. This puts Pixel ahead of Motorola at 3.24% and more than half of Samsung's market share at 23.74%. What's even more interesting is Apple's market share declined by 4%, which is a notable dip for such a big industry leader. To be honest, this underperformance doesn't really surprise me, considering, at least from what I've seen, the iPhone didn't really bring that wow factor this year. There's been very little innovation or changes to speak of, plus the one change that they did make via the camera control button got a ton of mixed reviews at best. And finally, Apple Intelligence, well, it just wasn't available for the iPhone 16s, and anecdotally, it appears their user base isn't too interested. So this decline does add up, at least to me. Although it is worth keeping in mind Statcounter's data comes from tracking code analytics from 1.5 million websites globally, not direct user data, so there's a lot of room for error in these statistics. That said, it seems like Google is gaining a lot of momentum at the expense of Apple if this report has any merit. Lately, Pixel has been absolutely killing it, with a comment on a recent earnings call citing, quote, strong demand for the Pixel 9, unquote. The Pixel 9 Pro XL has achieved the top 10 premium smartphones in the US, according to Statcounter, and Google has reported a record-breaking highest ever quarterly sales figure in Q3 2024. To me, there's quite a few reasons for this, as I've watched Google's strategy grow over the years. First, it does seem like they are heavily focusing on aspects aimed at appealing to iPhone users. For example, Google is focused on top-tier camera technology, leveraging its advanced computational photography algorithms and highly marketable camera features like Night Sight, Add Me, or Best Take, for example, while also aggressively expanding/improving its ecosystem with the Pixel tablet, Pixel Watch, updated buds, and better integration with those devices, something Apple users love, no doubt. Finally, there's that AI conversation. While some users might not like it, and rightfully so, AI is certainly here to stay for the time being. Thankfully, Google was way ahead of the game, getting started so early to the point where it's no doubt some of the best in the industry, while other big players like Apple are just getting started, or Samsung just include AI in their most recent flagship, so everyone else seems to be playing catch up here. Plus, there are some other items that massively contributed to the Pixel's success as of late. Their marketing campaigns have been relentless, to say the least, with high visibility initiatives like the Switch to Pixel ads, NBA sponsorships, Super Bowl commercials, and the Team Pixel influencer program, and so much more. In fact, it truly wouldn't surprise me if the marketing budget was close to the actual cost of developing these devices themselves. Furthermore, Google scored a major win as Apple brought RCS messaging to iOS, effectively bridging the communication gap between the two ecosystems. When it comes to device sales themselves, Google is consistently offering aggressive trade-in deals, pre-order bonuses, and carrier partnerships, recognizing how important they are in the US market. And Google frequently runs promotions within their community, like the recent 30% off discount for Google One subscribers as an example. All of these efforts, from refining the hardware and software to aggressive marketing and strategic partnerships, have been years in the making that are finally starting to pay off. Google has been diligently learning and iterating on these processes in the background, and the Pixel 9 series appears to be a culmination recognition of those efforts. As mentioned earlier, Google reported strong demand during its performance call, and a recent report indicated a 20% year-over-year growth in Pixel sales for Q3 2024, a time where Samsung and Apple saw their numbers decline. And with generative AI smartphones expected to perform well in Q4, according to Counterpoint Research, Google's momentum seems like it may continue, so I'm excited to see where things go from here. All signs, thankfully, do point to Google heading in the right direction, and I think consumers are starting to notice. The Pixel 9 is arguably the best iteration yet, addressing many previous pain points and presenting a very strong offering in the smartphone market. The hardware has a premium look and feel, the improved thermals of the Tensor G4 are a very much needed improvement, and cellular performance finally feels normal for once, with the excessive heat and battery drain while using mobile data largely resolved. In my opinion, I feel the cellular connection itself might not be as good as Qualcomm devices, but the improvements in heat and battery are huge regardless. On the software front, the promise of 7 years of updates adds a ton of value, and Google's AI features are arguably best in class, making the Pixel 9 stand out in a big way from the competition. Overall, the Pixel experience, especially on the 9 series, has reached a new level of refinement, and Google's vision for Android is finally taking shape. Despite this progress, there's still a ton of room for improvement. Again, in my opinion, if Google wants to keep taking from Apple's market share. Social media integration does need some attention here, particularly ensuring that photo and video quality is on par with what Samsung and iOS offer, although it seems they are working on it. The upcoming redesigned Tensor G5 chip is really important for maintaining momentum. While, yes, the average consumer might not focus on benchmarks or raw performance numbers, the redesigned G5 needs to deliver a smooth, reliable experience. There is no doubt in my mind that the bad press around thermals has pushed away potential buyers, even with people I've talked to in everyday life. If they hear something is wrong with a certain product, they'll stay away from it without doing any research themselves. So to address this, Google needs to be able to shift the narrative around its custom chips, emphasizing the new manufacturing process with TSMC can compete with the best chips on the market, while also showing users why custom chips paired with Google's custom software is the best experience for them. And finally, holding value long-term is another smaller issue that, if resolved, could start to draw in more iPhone users, in my opinion. The 7 years of updates is a good start, but hopefully more is done here to retain value late into a Pixel device lifecycle. For now, this is a small win that I will gladly take, and moving forward, I expect Google to basically continue the route that they're going on. Sales are great, at least from what we can tell right now. Their long-term plans are starting to come into place, and if the redesigned Tensor chip is a success, I think we'll have a lot to talk about in the Pixel world for quite some time. For now, I'll be cautiously optimistic, but leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. Do you think Pixel will be able to challenge Apple in the long run? And if you're someone that is considering to switch to Pixel or know someone who is, what is holding you back from making that switch? Leave a comment, as myself and the Android community would love to hear your thoughts. Before we get out of here, huge shout out to our channel members on screen right now. As usual, we love you guys and appreciate every single one of you for supporting us here at 9 to 5 Google. Damien and I work super hard to bring the best Android content to the platform, and your help makes this so much easier. Until next time, this has been Jordan Floyd with 9 to 5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.